Hi all, I'm Al Deldegan, the creator and producer of the Libby podcast. This 100% volunteer-run show was born out of the Rainforest Alberta movement and features incredible people who are leaders, innovators, and have big ideas. This episode is hosted by Rea Hailley, and it is the 13th episode of her new series. Today, her guest is Kirstey Jane. Take it away, Rea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rea Hailley, co-founder of New Idea Machine. We design and build custom software such as apps, integrations, and automations to solve your toughest problems and save you time and money. Welcome to 5 questions and 1 wild story, fempreneurs to watch for. Today's fempreneur is Kirstey Jane. Hi, Kirstey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. All right, Kirstey, let's dive in. What is it that you do and why is it important?
Oh, well, what is it I do? I'm an intuitive healing and breakthrough coach. Why is it important? I think it's important for humanity, quite frankly. I think that we're all humans on this planet and we're all trying to figure out life. And we have so much that blocks us from receiving all of the things that we want to benefit from, whether it's at life, at work, and at home, as parents, as leaders. And people need help with that. And a lot of the time, people don't even realize that they're stuck. They don't really realize what's blocking them. So they don't always ask for help. And usually I end up getting the kind of people who have tried everything and then really don't know what to do. They're completely lost. And so then I kind of come in and just give them a big wham with logic.
Yes.
And it gets them to jump out of it. So yeah.
Yes. And what I love about what you do, Kirstey, is that you have a very unique way of getting to the core root of the problem and solving it, like within hours, not days or weeks or months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because life is actually very, very simple. We just overcomplicate it with all of our stories, our feelings, and our emotions, and we get so lost. I mean, a really good example of that is when you listen to a friend or a colleague and, they're telling you their story about something that happened, why they're so upset. And they're so in their story that they can't see the wood for the trees. And when you're listening and you're not connected to this, you don't have any emotional attachment to it, you're like, well, hang on a minute. And it's very easy for you to ask questions and get involved with it and see for what it is and help someone because you don't have an emotional attachment. That's what gets us in trouble is our emotions, because emotions are a frequency. That's how we resonate. And then all sorts of things start unfolding, as you well know. So what I tend to do is just to cut straight through that and get right to the point of what is really, really logical and help people see the pattern and why they're doing things and what's happening next. So it's like a recipe that unfolds. And when they see it, they're like, oh my gosh, why am I doing that's ridiculous? And they tell themselves that it's ridiculous. And so they get themselves out of it because they want to make a better choice. So quite honestly, what I'm realizing at the moment is that a lot of my work really does seem to resonate with men. And it was never intended that way. It's just, I probably have quite a lot of masculine energy. And I think the way that I speak and come across to people is very logical. And I think that's something that men can relate to. It's not sort of no-fluff or woo-woo kind of thing. It's like, let's just get to the point. Let's solve the problem. Let's move on and figure our stuff out from here. So
Yes, logical and direct.
Yeah.
Do you have an example that you can share, a story of a client, without naming names that you recently worked with and, what state were they in prior to speaking with you? And then what happened after speaking with you?
I do actually. And it was a really interesting one. So it was, a family and it was actually nothing to do with work. It was more of a personal family issue that was happening. And so the whole family had been kind of involved in all of this. They were really struggling with their youngest daughter who was kind of really uncontrollable and having some real issues that was causing friction with the parents as a couple. And so the wife actually signed the husband up because he was away on business. I was talking with her and me and her had worked through a few things and she just pulled him up on FaceTime and said, hey, you need to do this. You need to book it. Here's Kirstey. And she just pointed the phone at me. I was like, oh my gosh, put me on the spot. And he goes, okay, fine. He goes, yeah, whatever works. Like, just book it and we'll do it. And I said, are you sure about this? I said, like, there's a lot of stuff that this is a 4-hour breakthrough session. Like, this is going to be hardcore. Are you ready? Are you willing for change? And he's like, I will do anything. I just need to be at this point now. I want to give up my old life for the new one. I was like, perfect. You're the perfect candidate. So we did. And he showed up, and we were there to talk about his family and his parents, which were causing friction with his wife. So there's in-law scenarios, there's kid scenarios, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And we started talking, and I think it was probably within the first 20 minutes, I was sharing the model that I have. I created this model, and what I get people to do before they come in, they basically have to answer all these deep questions about what it is they want to get from the session. And what it is that is the main problem. Because a lot of people will sit down and just in trying to figure out that, they'll waste an hour or 2 hours of trying to unload. So I get them to do that beforehand. And I'm like, I want you to come to me with one thing that is the biggest thing that you need to figure out right now that would make the biggest difference in your life. So you come equipped with that. We then throw it up against the model that I have. And then once they start to unravel it, they're like, hang on a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I so upset about this? And when they realize that, then everything else comes tumbling down, and then they start to see things. So then we start working on, okay, so now you understand this. Here's some tools. Here's how you get out of it. And then here's how you would go and apply this to your own issues. You don't need me. You have the tools. So basically that's what happened. We were talking about his family situation, and he kept getting caught up in this story. He had a story about how he was a very successful businessman. Like, he earned a lot of money. They had all the trappings of a wonderful lifestyle, but he was getting frustrated that he was doing all of this work for his family, for his wife and for his children, to have a better life. And he suddenly realized that he thought that was what his motivation was. And then out of nowhere, he told me that he was hating his job, and he didn't feel like a man anymore. He didn't feel like he was in control. Everybody at work he was a consultant, but everybody drove him crazy. And he's like, I hate this, and I'm stuck in it. And the only reason that I'm doing this is for what? Where's the love? Like, what am I getting out of this? And when we looked at it, he realized it actually had nothing to do with his career. It had nothing to do with his wife. He had a story going on in his head that he was trying to please his parents from way, way back. So he felt like, he was the one in the family that really had to prove himself. And all he was trying to do was win his mom and dad's approval, who have put him down at every opportunity. And when he realized that this is what was his motivation, and it didn't make any sense because he was 44, and why is he trying to please his parents still? It was that was getting in the way of everything. And when he suddenly realized that, then he was like, oh my goodness, I don't care. I need to be a man for my family. I want to do this for my kids, for my wife. And he's like, God damn, these stupid men in my business meeting that I'm sitting here being overwhelmed by. He's like, this is ridiculous. He goes, I know way more than they do, but it's causing me all these problems, because everything that he had in his head was all about being good enough for his parents. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but for him, it was a massive breakthrough, because he realized that everything he was doing was in spite of what his parents thought, as opposed to what he loves, what he's passionate about, and what his strengths are. So just flipping that little story suddenly changed everything. And all of a sudden, he was starting to realize, oh my gosh, I have just been a complete a-hole to my wife, and I haven't been there for my kids, and I'm away all the time, and I'm trying to find distractions, and I'm trying to numb with alcohol to, all these feelings. So just having these little points where you suddenly turn things around, and suddenly everything in your life is like, oh my gosh, this is so not in alignment. And so then you start to put it in alignment, and then you start to follow the simple rules and understand what you're doing. And now you have complete control over your thinking, over your actions, over the frequency that you're resonating at with all of your emotions. And then the impact that has on the people around you is completely 180-degree transformation. So yeah, that's kind of how it works.
That's incredible. And how soon before he started to apply these tools that you gave him in his life so that he could start seeing results?
It was instant, because he'd changed his whole personality in terms of his beliefs. So all of this comes down to having disempowering beliefs, which if you've ever done any kind of therapy or work on yourself, you're probably familiar with that term. It's very, very simple. So we have a thought. We're electromagnetic beings, right? So our thoughts are electric. We have a thought, and then that creates a feeling. It's either a good feeling or a bad feeling. And emotions, feelings have a frequency, and they're either a very low vibrating frequency or a very high one. Now, you have a choice when you have a thought in your head, right? So you might just see somebody you know crossing the road and you're like, oh my gosh, there's John Smith. And John Smith is either going to make you feel really good or you're going to dread John Smith. And depending on which way you go is going to depend on what you start pulling in, because emotion is a frequency and a frequency is magnetic and therefore it pulls stuff in. So the more you're sitting in the negative frequency, the more negative things you're going to pull in. So, you know, when you have a day and you like stub your toe and you're really mad and then you drop something and then you catch a coat on the door on the way out and you're just getting madder and madder, and then you're trying to get to work and you're late because some idiot's pulled out in front of you. It just goes on and on and on because you're stuck in the frequency of whatever that means to you. You've placed a meaning on something, which means like, oh, this is typical. This always happens to me. Or, you know, oh, again, something else is going to go wrong. Like, what's next? And so you just creating more of that. What's next? Oh, something else is going to be wrong for you. So you always have a choice of what you are going to think and feel. And most people are not aware of that. And when they are aware of that, now is the acknowledgement and the realization, but you actually have to start choosing what you're going to do next, which is going to affect your outcome. So once you know this, like how do you not know it? You know, it's like me saying, Rea, here's a door. I want you to go and sit in this room for half an hour, okay? And you walk in, it's pitch black. And you're like, whoa, what's in the room? Like, who's there? What's going to happen to me? It's pitch black. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Just go in. I'm just going to shut the door. You're instantly going to freak out because whatever it is for you that scares you is going to come up in that moment, right? Whether you're afraid of it being a man with a gun, or maybe there's a big hole that you're going to drop through, or maybe there's snakes in there. You don't know. It's just whatever your worst fears are from your past are going to come when I put the pressure on you. But if I say, Rea, here you go, and I turn the light on and I show you the room and you're like, oh, it's a nice fluffy couch. I can lay on there. And it's like, yeah, I'll do this. I can do it for half an hour. And you shut the door. You've seen the room now. So now you've seen it. Are you still going to be as crazy scared as you were before? Maybe if you live in fear, you might go, well, what if there's a snake under it and it comes out, comes to get me? Or you might just go, I'm just going to lie here in peace for half an hour. So you start to recognize the belief that you have, that you live by, that you don't even know that you took on. And half the time they're running your life because you don't think about your unconscious mind, which is running your breathing, running your blood circulation. It's running everything that your body does, and you're not aware of it. But it's also running your fears and your feelings too. So when you start to tune in and start to become aware of the things that you're feeling, now you can start to realize, oh, this is why this affects me when I'm in this situation. So you can start taking it apart. So the breakthrough sessions I do are basically showing you kind of like the new rules of how your brain and your mind and your emotions work, so that when you start to realize that, now you can become very, very aware of it and apply that to your everyday situations when you're at home, when you're at work, in any situation whatsoever. So it's immediate. You can't unsee it. Now you know.
Yeah.
Now you just got to have the discipline and you know, keep using those tools.
I love that. So you're talking about the observer effect. So you're not consumed by your emotions. You can withdraw a little bit and look at the situation from a different angle, and then make logical choices instead of emotional ones, which can be very, very empowering.
Oh, totally. I mean, there's so many 50-year-old children running around in the world, right?
Yes.
Which is basically, you know, where everything we're expressing is coming from the emotions that we took on when we were younger that we never looked into. So, you know, when somebody tells you something that you're offended by, you know, instead of reacting to it, you can just go, you know, be calm and just go, they didn't mean that for me. You know, they said this because that's about them. It's not about me. So I don't need to react. It's like a game of tennis, you know, when and somebody says something that's offensive to you, you have a choice. You know, you're going to, you know, they've hit the ball over the net. Are you going to react to it and hit the ball back with another insult and just go down this game of tennis of insults? Or when they hit the ball to you and it hurts and it's not nice, you're like, well, that wasn't very nice. And you can just walk away. And then this person can't do it, can't play tennis by themselves, and they can't throw insults by themselves. So it's learning how to get your control back. If you're someone who is very reactive, very emotional, just gets unhinged easily, feels offended by everything, who, you know, is very, very sensitive and picks up on the energy of others and just get, you know, so exhausted. It's learning how to know your place in all of that, how to be able to let go of the stuff that makes you do that, and how to have boundaries and make life just so much more simple. Mm-hmm. So you're almost watching it like you're an observer, and you choose when to dial in and enjoy it, and you choose when to pull out. You don't just get sucked in by everything and you're just kind of, your emotions are running you.
Yeah.
Because that's not fun for anyone.
Yes.
We've all been there.
No kidding. And I think that's what's happening with the world right now is that a lot of people are very reactive, very easily triggered, very easily insulted. And so they're reacting from a place of wounded emotions instead of logic. Yeah. And I can see how having that observer effect and having that control back to be very empowering, especially for entrepreneurs such as yourself and myself and everyone else out there that might be listening. Yeah, entrepreneurship is definitely a very rocky road, and you definitely want to respond from a place of control and not emotion.
Absolutely. I mean, a trigger is a gift. And that's the thing. People don't see that. When we get triggered, that's showing us where we need to pay attention. What is our thinking doing? Why am I reacting this way? There's something here that I haven't processed properly. There's something that, still affects me emotionally. So when we get triggered, instead of lashing out at somebody else, it's recognizing that, thank you. Thanks for bringing this up. It's showing me where I need to heal. And it's helping our journey inwards. But most people are so unaware of that, and they just want to lash out. And so it's a very empowering thing to be able to self-regulate. And it's not about being a robot. I mean, we're humans. We have to feel, but it's about understanding that we don't have to react to absolutely everything, but we are surrounded by everything that's there to trigger us. And we could argue that's the purpose of life, is we're here to learn a lesson. That's kind of how I look at it. And it's how I've always taught my kids to look at it, is that everything happens, it's happening for you and not to you. So it's a pain in the butt that it's happening. It's upsetting, but there's a lesson here. You're either happy and at peace in this moment, or you're in a lesson or a story. So it's up to you to look at it that way,
Yes. Yeah. You're going to go through it one way or another. You can choose to go through it on your terms with a little bit more control, for lack of a better word, or you can go through it kicking and screaming. You're still going to go through it, but one way could be a little bit more pleasant than the other.
For sure. I mean, there's that phrase, isn't it? If you're going through hell, keep going. Yes. You don't want to be stuck there.
Yes. Yes. What has surprised you the most about becoming an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. What surprised me the most? I think for me personally is that because I've always been, here's the thing, I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, even when I was in corporate for 12 years. And even before that, it used to frustrate me that people wouldn't think independently. And I still think that now. I mean, and maybe that's why I do what I do. I've always been very, very curious. I've assumed that everybody not thinks like me as in terms of they agree with me, but I've always thought that everybody was self-reflective. Like I sit here and question everything all day. I question myself. Why do I do that? That's interesting. Why does that person do that? I wonder what would happen. I mean, this is how my brain goes all the time. And I could never understand why people would just blindly follow rules without questioning them. Or they would just, from now on, this is what everyone's going to do. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't work for everybody. Like, why are we not talking about this? So it's been a blessing and a curse. And it probably explains why I do this, because a lot of people don't question, but they need to if you want to grow, because to grow, you're going to get uncomfortable. And most people don't want to get uncomfortable. They don't like change. It's like, oh, I know everything now. I'm the smartest person in the room. I know how everything is, and I want to stay there. Well, okay, so you don't want to get uncomfortable and you don't want to move up and learn. There's no growth there. That's fine. But guess what? There's going to be other people that are going to want to be the most intelligent person in the room, and they're going to try and take away what you have. So guess what that means? Now you're going to start controlling people so that they can't have what you've got. So it never escapes you. It's always there. You've either got to grow and move forwards, or you're going to fall into the thing of trying to control everyone so they don't take over you and take over your power. So it doesn't matter which way you go. Life is always evolving and you have to go with it. So growth is always going to be there somewhere. And the more you avoid, the more it's going to hit you in the butt. It really is. So you can decide, do I want to keep working on myself and moving forwards, or am I just going to keep getting stuck? So to the question of, what's the thing that surprised me? It's not about being an entrepreneur. I think it's just more about what surprises me about people in general. I can't believe that people aren't self-reflective and they don't look at themselves and question when things aren't going the way that they want. Why are they not asking the questions? Why are they not looking at the patterns? What did I do to get here? Like, why is this happening to me?
Yes.
So yeah, I think like trying to convince trying to convince people of that they need to do the work in order to get what it is that they keep desiring, because people don't want to hear that. They don't want to change. They don't want to do any work. They just want the magic pill, right? To get whatever it is they want, which is probably why those industries succeed so well, is the magic diet pill or whatever it is, because everybody's searching for the magic pill. And it's like, no, it's not there. Yeah. You just have to change your thinking. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, life is...
It's a hard sell.
Yes, it is. Life is not meant to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when it is, enjoy it. But it's going to change.
Well, that's just right. I mean, it doesn't matter which way you look at it. Everything is temporary. Even everything that is good is temporary, and everything that is bad is temporary.
Yes.
Always, all the time. And people are like, well, then why would I not enjoy happiness then? Because I'm going to lose it. And it's like, well, no, you're going to enjoy it in this moment, and then it's going to pass. And if you stay in that frequency, you're going to attract more happiness. You're just going to get more of what you keep putting out. But what people do is they get afraid. I don't want to lose the happy moment right now. So they start trying to control everything. Guess what they get more of? Oh, more controlling stuff. So, it's so simple, but it's really not, because we're all suffering. So it really is about shifting your thinking and stepping back and seeing what you're doing. And it really is just such a simple recipe for success. The discipline is about, can I apply it to myself even when I'm in pain and hurting? Because you're in your story again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's why gratitude journals are so powerful. Like, it's so transformative, because you can, train your mind to focus on positive things that are going well. And there is always something that's going well versus what is not going well.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I mean, if I said to you, don't think of a pink elephant, I mean, your brain automatically goes to think of a pink elephant. So, but people like myself that find it hard to meditate because you're trying to erase your mind of all thoughts, you can't. But what I have found for anybody out there that really does have a problem with this is that breathing and counting is very, very helpful, because rather than trying to think of nothing, you're thinking of counting. So when you're counting, an in-breath, you're like counting 1, 2, 3 as you're breathing in. So you count for 6, then you hold it for 6, and then you breathe out for 8. Just that method of counting your breaths is actually stopping you from thinking about everything else. Mm-hmm. So it is a form of meditation. So meditation isn't about erasing all your thoughts and trying to be, pure and spiritual. It's never going to work if you're kind of hyper like I am.
Yes. Yeah.
But thinking of one thing instead of 10 things is a big, drastic difference. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of breathing deeply and being mindfully breathing. And once you start practicing that and you start to sort of calm your system down, then other things start to flow too. And you start to let go of the things that block you, and you start to create space for where you can start to access the things that are really important to you. And for some people, it's, they want to get closer to God. For other people, they want to get closer to the spirit realm. Some people are intuitive. Some people just want peace and want to feel more aligned and more calm. You can't do that when stuff is in the way and blocking you.
Yeah.
I mean, abundance is everywhere, abundance of everything, whether it's peace or money or love or whatever it is that you desire, you cannot access it when you are blocking all of the channels. You have to be able to undo them and let go of stuff so that you can access all of that. And that's something that, again, a lot of people don't look at.
Yeah. Yeah. I recently read something that said the soul is what you hear in moments of silence. And I thought that's so powerful, because, when I'm standing still, and I don't mean physically, I mean, my mind is still, that's when I have the greatest ideas and the greatest inspiration for my business that I apply, and they're always successful.
Mm-hmm. I agree. My thing is, whenever I get in the shower and whenever I drive my car, every single time, because obviously it's the time that I can't sit and write my ideas down. So I'm often taking my phone in the shower with me, because I swear everything that comes to me in those times, because it's like radio frequency almost. The way I look at it is like all the information that ever was about anything in the whole wide world of every single person is all in the ether. It's all in, in another realm. We'll call it the field. It's all there. All the thoughts, all the emotions, all the ideas of everybody are all in this field. And it's almost like the cloud, when you store your documents in the cloud, our brain can't possibly hold on to all the things that we've ever thought, never believed, and ever done. But what's interesting is that when you go into meditation or you go into hypnosis, you're clearing your mind of the everyday things that you're thinking about. And what that does is it gives you this access to the cloud. You can start downloading all the information that's there, which is why you get these great ideas. It's, why ideas are very similar to, you're like, oh my gosh, I wrote this ages ago and I just went online and saw an article and someone's written almost the identical one. And you're like, how could they know that? Well, because all of your energy, all of your thoughts, all of your information is all being transmitted up there that everyone has access to if they just knew how to do it. And some people will call that, God, the divine, or a holy moment. Other people, again, will call that, spirituality or tuning in or whatever. But it's like it's a radio frequency. We're receivers and transmitters. I do believe that that's what we are. We have two methods, what we put out and what we take in. And, when we're trying to access things that help us for our highest good is we need to tune in, just like you would with the radio. And when you're doing that, you're hearing all different sounds and crackles. So you'll hear lots of different things. But when you find the one that resonates with you, it's clear as day and there's your favorite music. So same kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. So, okay. Has there ever been a time where you've wanted to quit as an entrepreneur?
Oh, daily.
What keeps you going?
What keeps me going? Well, I guess income at the end of the day. I mean, it's survival, right? I mean, you have to earn money. I have children, I have a home, I have a partner, like we have all of these things. So you just have to keep going. And the choice is always, well, okay, if I quit now, then what? And so you what are you going to do? Go get a job and then go work for someone and then hate doing that as well. So I think that's the thing is I love work. I love people. Obviously I wouldn't be doing what I did. I find people fascinating and I also find them exhausting. But what I love about working for myself is the freedom to be who I am and do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it. The hardest part of that is how do I pull in the people that resonate with that? Because, I don't know how many people there are, let's just say in LinkedIn, for example, there are millions and millions and millions of business people all over the world, and you're never going to be everything to everyone. And so I think, when you're trying to make a living, you're kind of, you're tempted into we've got to get all these people to, agree with what I want to say. And so what I see on LinkedIn a lot is people saying things for likes, I guess. If I say this, people will like this, so I'll put it out there. And then my question is okay, well, I've heard that 100 times before. Like, who's the real you? What do you really want to say? And so for me, it's refreshing when people actually speak up and speak their minds. I might not agree with what they have to say. I might not like what they have to say, but I do love when people actually just speak up and speak out, because to me, it's like you're in your truth, you're in your alignment. And to me, that takes a lot of courage. So I see you. I don't have to agree with you. That's okay. It's fine. I don't have to say anything or get annoyed or get triggered. But I think it's so important that people really do speak their truths and put themselves out there and be who they really are. Because I think authenticity is like one of the highest frequencies that you can possibly have. It's enlightenment. It's being who you truly are. And I think if more people actually did that than trying to just go along with what they think is popular or what people will like. I know that happens a lot to a lot of entrepreneurs. But it's a hard, truth is a really hard journey, because when you just keep sticking to what you believe in, you're trying to move in that world and make a business. But ultimately, when someone really does see you, that you're in your truth, they will resonate. And those people are the most wonderful people to work with, because they just it's so easy. It's so easy to work with them. But, when you're trying to balance that with, I've got to pay my mortgage, or I've got to pay my car pay, or whatever it is that, you're financially responsible for. It's hard. I think that's probably one of the toughest things for entrepreneurs is, how do I keep it all going? Keep the gravy going whilst actually trying to be my authentic self. I think that's probably one of the hardest things and makes people want to just give up. Yeah. Because there are days that you just think, it happens to me. I've talked to you about this. Sometimes I post on LinkedIn, it's just like crickets. There's no one seeing my post. I even put a post about this the other day. I posted my dog and I was like, just a random picture of my dog. Who sees this? It was like 2 people. And I'm like, there's thousands of people in my network. How is nobody seeing this? So it's frustrating for sure, because you don't know if it's just the algorithm. You don't know if you are going crazy or people think you're crazy, or, maybe people are just lazy. And you don't know. You don't know what's happening. So I think there's a lot of that when you're an entrepreneur. This tough.
Yes, it is. Now, what are people most surprised to learn about you?
Most surprised to learn about me. I don't know if they are. I'm very open. It's right out there. I'm a very open book. So I think actually, okay, I think probably that I'm actually an introvert. That's probably it, because I am an open book and I do a lot of social media and podcasts and I do my own lives and I love doing lives because it's terrifying. And it's just like, right, you're on, go. And there's no script or anything. You never know what's going to come out. So I think because of that, I think people think I'm a massive extrovert. I'm actually not. I can be extrovert. I had to learn how to do that. I left home at 16 and had to, get out in the world myself and support myself. So I had to learn how to do those things. But it's just very, very weird. It's like I can be very comfortable. Like if I was on a stage of 5,000 people, it wouldn't concern me at all. Like I'd be excited about it. Like, great, because I want to go out and talk to people and feed off the energy. But once I'm done, I just want to go and hide in a hotel room. Like I don't have it in me to feel like I want to go out and now socialize with people. And I remember when I did do a talk once and that happened, and I didn't realize that people were all going to want to come up afterwards and come and talk to me. I didn't realize that was going to happen. And it was terrifying. I was like, oh my God, I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was absolutely terrifying. I'm very intense. So I love one-on-one conversations like this. But yeah, the idea of being like going to a party where I don't know people or, have to go to a dinner or something with someone's plus one, like that's just horrific for me. It's terrifying. So yeah, probably that I'm actually an introvert. I'm a homebody. I'm very private. There's things I don't like talking about, but when I come online, I come alive. That is my personality. But yeah, I'm not like that all the time.
Fair enough. Yeah, that is surprising, I think. Now, what advice would you give to other female entrepreneurs?
Oh, I would definitely say I think the biggest thing that is going to hinder what you're doing, if anything, is like we can all have amazing ideas and be really creative and really excited about what we're going to do. But the biggest killer of all of that is going to be when you get concerned about financing, when you don't have money coming in to survive. Because if you don't have savings sets, if you're already in a job, you're employed and you're thinking of going it alone, I would say save up as much money as you possibly can to assume that you're not going to be getting paid for the next 1 to 2 years. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you don't have to think about where your income is coming from, then you can be free, especially as a woman, because we like to feel safe. We like to have financial security. And I think it's terrifying for us. It's very hard to be a good partner or a good parent when you're worrying about money coming in, and it steals your creativity. And then you start compromising what it is that you're doing because you're thinking, am I valuable enough? And it's interesting. It brings out all of these childhood wounds and things, am I worth it? Do people see my value? All of that, it comes out into it, especially for women. Women, we are such emotional creatures. And so we bring all of that into it. And whilst we can be very spirited and fun and playful and all of those things that make us great entrepreneurs, I think the biggest killer of that is worrying about money. So either having a part-time job that can subsidize what you're doing while you're creating your business, or maybe you work during the day and build your business in the evening. But I just wouldn't lose your financial security, whatever that is for you. Maybe your partner's supporting you through that too. I mean, if they are, then that's awesome. But it will start to get old after a year or two when you're really not making what you thought you were going to make. And I think every business is going to go through those hurdles. I mean, you're going to learn, the lessons are going to be huge. The growth is going to be huge. You're never going to get any of that growth and self-development working in a company, being employed. You just won't, because you're not putting yourself on the line. When everything is on you, you have to make some very, very tough decisions, and you have to smarten up fast. You have to learn to change and adapt fast. So yeah, that's what I would say. I'd say the number one thing is prepare for the financial commitment. And number 2, prepare for growth. If you're squeamish, don't do it.
Yeah, I think the growth thing is definitely what surprised me the most, because I thought, I got this. Like I've been through some pretty challenging life situations, entrepreneurship, whatever. And then I got into it and I thought, holy crap, what is happening? It's definitely the most challenging thing I have ever done and continues to be day after day, but so worth it.
And what for you, if I may ask a quick question, like, so what is worth it for you? Like, why would you not give up?
It's what you said. I would have to bend myself to fit into someone else's box. Right. Every job I ever held. Bite my tongue when I know that what they're doing is asinine. It's not going to work. But you're sitting there nodding, going, yeah, that's a great idea. And then you just watch it collapse right in front of you.
Right.
the frustration of knowing what needs to be done and watching them not do it. I just can't go back to that. So when I hit those moments where I'm like, God, I want to quit, then I think about the alternative. I'm like, right.
The thing, I completely agree with you. I mean, the thing that I've noticed, like when working with business owners it would be the business. I was going to say CEOs, but it's not. If you own the company, so whether it's a little small startup or whether it's a big company, if you're working, I've worked with all types. But in that, the biggest frustration that I've come across from all of them is like, why doesn't anybody think like me? Why can't they just like take the initiative? Why aren't they thinking like I'm thinking? I will never trust this person to run this for me because they don't think the way I do. I'm like, that's such a fake, false belief. It's never going to come true. It's like saying, if you have a child or a pet, nobody's ever going to look after that child or pet as much as you are because the buck doesn't stop with them. They're going to do a good job and there are people that are hard workers, but nobody is going to die for that child or for that pet. You are, no one's going to die for your company when you own it. You will. You'll give up everything. You might lose your family, you might lose your marriage because of your company, but you're willing to do it because you're driven by that. You have to succeed because it's all on you. No one else has that accountability. And that's the thing that a lot of business owners just don't get is that when you're all in when you do this. So yes, I can be here and support you and I can help you. But again, I'm still going to turn around and go, well, I'm going to go now. You've had my time and, this is what you signed up for, but this is my life over here because this is my business, and so I've got to get control over what I'm doing and you've got to get control over what you're doing. And you've got to realize that no one is ever going to commit as hard as you do. So you have to allow for that and acknowledge that that's just a fact, period. So I think that's why the businesses that tend to do better are the ones where they have staff ownership, fractional ownership, because people actually have something on the line. That's the only way you can do it. They have more accountability.
Absolutely. All right, Kirstey, what's your one wild story?
I don't even know what to tell you. I was thinking about this. I was like, oh gosh, I saw that on some of your other episodes, you're asking people this. And I was like, all the stories I have are either like illegal or going to cause friction or they're going to be like, seriously, like this is my loose cannon part where I have to like watch myself. And that's the thing. So I guess I'll just share about how I feel about that. I know that a lot of your viewers are on LinkedIn and I have noticed that it's so easy for people to get triggered. And to me, I'm like, this is my perfect audience because my work is all about how to teach you how to not get triggered, so that you control your emotions, so that you know what to do. But I just noticed that even when I go and post a comment on I'm not evil or mean, like I have the self-discipline to not do that. But I will point out when I think someone, is stuck in their story because they're just getting angry at everybody, And so then I'll kind of go in and try and diffuse it and go, hey, what's going on here? Why are you making this mean this? And people will just come at you. And they came at me and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what's really frightening to me is that it's really hard to even have an opinion about anything anymore without everybody coming at you. And they do. And so I think my point to all of this is I think this is why I find LinkedIn so hard to engage with, because I think people are so afraid of commenting on something in case any of their peers or their boss or anyone sees what they've commented. Because it shows up, doesn't it? So-and-so commented on this post and you can see it. I think people are terrified of actually saying what they believe in or agreeing because they're just so worried about how it's going to reflect on them. And that is just, to me, that's wild. That's my wild story. Is this like, we're just human. Like, at the end of the day, we're all going to die. There's just bones you won't know what anybody's opinions were, and the labels don't matter. It's just be yourself. And I think when people are themselves and are authentic and we can actually have discussions and conversations where you can hear someone out and even though you're triggered or you don't agree, you can go, okay, cool. Thanks for sharing. Or, if you don't agree with what someone's saying and it's making you angry, is instead of fighting is asking a question. So why? I'm really curious. Why do you think that? Tell me how you got that opinion. Because that's like, I want to learn something here. If we approach more things with curiosity instead of getting angry and needing to be right, I just think the world will be a much better place. And it's just, ego rules, stories in our heads rule. And when I go in and I look at LinkedIn and see all these battles happening, I just think, oh, you're my perfect client. You're the person that's so caught up in your story that you're creating all this conflict because of beliefs that don't work for you. So, but you can't tell people that. They have to realize for themselves that it's not going to work. So that's usually how it happens. But yeah, it's not a wild story about me because I couldn't share any of that.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I'll share a story about myself. So to the listeners here, a few years ago, I went for a walk in the park with Kirstey because I was having a very challenging situation with a coworker at a place that I worked. And I mean, I was losing sleep. That's how stressful it was. And I thought, why is this person being so bitchy, like difficult and going out of her way to make my life very challenging? And so I was complaining to Kirstey about this experience that I'm having. And Kirstey looks at me and, ever so calmly, it's like, you're stuck in your story. And I'm like, what? No, I'm not. I am not stuck in my story. And she's like, yeah, the problem's with you. And I'm like, how could she say this? And keep in mind, I'm very familiar with Kirstey's work and her way of thinking. But I was so in my story that I couldn't even entertain the fact that I was in my story because I was just immersed in that poor me mindset. And that person is the problem. I'm just this innocent person that's being, sucked into this drama and I want nothing to do with it. So I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to acknowledge the fact that I was in my story. But some time passed and I was able to look back at that situation and think, that was a great learning opportunity for me because I learned a lot about myself and what that very difficult, stressful situation was teaching me. It was actually highlighting this, imposter syndrome, this belief that I'm not enough. And it was a gift because it was like shining a spotlight on this problem and it was giving me an opportunity to work through it. But at that time, I wasn't ready to hear it from Kirstey, even though she was 100% right. But I think I've made a lot of progress since then, and I can detach a lot more easily now from situations and look at it as an observer and think, okay, where's the golden nugget in this situation? So I hear what you're saying, Kirstey, that a lot of people may not yet be ready to have that kind of self-reflection and ownership that, that they really, the common denominator, right? It's them. Like the problem is with them. It's not even a problem. It's just an opportunity for growth.
Yeah, it's very simple. Whenever you have a problem with something in your life, you are always there.
Yes.
Because I can be there with you, but I'm not upset. It's because, and the reason being, it's not that you're the problem. You're not the cause of the problem, but you're thinking it. So the way you're thinking about it is creating a problem for you. Because if your thoughts are hurting you, who thinks your thoughts? That's it. That's all it is. So in any moment when you're having, when you have a conversation with someone and they trigger you and then you walk away and then you're replaying the conversation in your head and go, well, they just said, It's like, okay, all right. That's your view of what happened. Okay. But what are you making it mean? And so when you start questioning what it means, then it's like, well, it means that they don't like me very much. Okay. And what does that mean? Well, it means that they're just bitchy and horrible and they've just got it in for me. Okay. What meaning are you putting on that? So what? Well, I know they're just horrible to me. Okay. All right. So what does that mean? Everyone's horrible to me. Like this always happens. Oh, okay. And so what does that mean? Well, I'm just, and it's like, you just keep asking yourself, what does that mean? What am I making this mean? So what? And you just keep going, you keep going. Eventually you'll get to the point where you'll probably laugh at yourself because you'll realize it's stupid, or you'll start crying because it's going to hit a chord. And it's going to hit a chord of like, this reminds me of when I was 5 and I was told by so-and-so that I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And I thought that meant that's because I wasn't good enough. It might have been a time when, I don't know, they were picking basketball teams at school and you were the last one to be picked. And you're just standing there going, that means I'm really bad and I'm useless because no one ever picks me. And you take that on, you internalize it. You don't give it any more thought because you don't have the capacity to be self-reflective about that. You don't talk to anyone about it, but now you're looking for evidence. Your ego wants to be right and it's looking for evidence everywhere. about, see, it's because I'm not good enough. And then you'll go find another situation. See, I'm not good enough here either. And then when, you get dumped in a relationship, or you don't get the job, or, you go to join a queue and then in a supermarket, and then they close the queue right before you get there. You're like, see, it's always me. I'm always left till last. I'm always the one that, now this is your story. And you carry this story around with you all the time, wherever you go. And I guarantee you, when you find it in one area of your life, you will see that you play that story out everywhere. It will be with your partner, with your kids, at work. And this is why I always say, like, just because, whenever you have a problem at work, it doesn't matter. It's just a human condition. Whatever your way of thinking is, your beliefs and your values are all going to be the same. They just show out differently. It's interesting that you can be really amazing at one thing in your life. At least everyone's got something they're good at. If you sit here going, I'm a useless person, I don't deserve to be here, I don't even know why I'm here, and you list of all the things that you're awful at and why you're just a hopeless piece of crap. And then, it's like, well, what's the one thing you can do really well? Oh, I don't know, I can build model airplanes. Oh, really? You can build model airplanes. Let's work with that. Like, let's look at, because whatever your success methodology is for building model airplanes, the way that you think about what you're doing, the way you approach the way that you do it, the way you take the information and you take the time for yourself and you get in a calm state and you focus on the information. If you just did that in other areas of your life too, you would have the same success. It's just patterns and recipes, but we don't think about it. We don't break it down. And so we just think, oh, well, I'm hopeless at that. And we just avoid and avoid and avoid. But wherever you have a success pattern in your life, and you will have one, you can break it all down and you can start applying it in other areas of your life too. And you can flip it around, but it's all up. It starts up here because you have a thought and then you get the emotion and you get to choose which way you're going to resonate. Is it good or is it bad? So you've got to start catching yourself out when you have a thought. You start listening to the things that you tell yourself. I'm useless. I'm not good enough, and if you think that in one area, you're going to take that to work in every promotion meeting. You're going to, when you're talking to your team, you're going to start having nerves about, oh, no one's going to listen to me because I got nothing important to say, because no one thinks I'm worth anything. It will always come up. So anything that you are struggling with at work, whether it's how you're managing people, how you're presenting yourself in meetings, or client presentations, it will all come down to a tiny little disempowering belief that you have somewhere else in your life. And when you discover that, you can then take it out of that area and start having immediate success in those areas. It's really, really quite simple when you stand back and start pulling it out.
Yes, but sometimes you need help. So if you're feeling stuck in any area of your life, I highly recommend Kirstey. Like she mentioned, in a simple 4-hour process, you can have the breakthrough that you've been looking for and completely turn your life around. I've seen her do it with people, and it's mind-blowing. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Kirstey. She's quite an incredible human being.
Thanks so much, Rea. It's been awesome. Appreciate you so much.
Likewise. Thanks, Kirst. If you're a fempreneur and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please reach out. I'd love to speak with you. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Why not become a podcast host yourself? Libby is a community podcast, and we would love to have your voice as a host or a guest. Check out show.libby.ca for more information, show notes, and links for every episode.
This episode is brought to you by New Idea Machine, a unique blend of a tech incubator and a software development powerhouse. We're not just building software, we're crafting the next generation of homegrown tech wizards. Got a project in mind or looking to hire fresh talent? Reach out and let's make tech magic happen. Visit newideamachine.com for more info.
Music for the show was created by Tony Del Deegan.